Oscar Flies to the Stars. Hey guys, my name is Caro. I wrote a new story for you, and it's called Oscar Flies to the Stars. Have fun listening. For his 5th birthday, Oscar got a starry sky projector from his mom and dad. It's a kind of night lamp that can project the stars onto the ceiling of your room with many different lights, the moon, and the entire solar system with all its planets. Have you ever seen that? Oscar had never been happy about a gift or anything else in his entire life before. Even Grandma Maria's car race track or the new bike he got from his Aunt Eleanor were nothing compared to this. Oscar wanted to be an astronaut and was interested in everything related to the universe. When Oscar and his dad set up the projector in his room after dinner, his dad patiently taught him the names of the planets and explained everything there was to know about the Milky Way. The Milky Way. Oscar had to giggle out loud. What a funny name for a galaxy. But the lights were so beautiful that he couldn't wait to fall asleep underneath them. When his mom came to kiss Oscar goodnight, he was already half asleep and mumbled, "Mommy, when I grow up, I'll fly all the way to Pluto." As the mom smiled tenderly and whispered gently in his ears, "You don't have to wait until you're grown up. You can fly to the stars in your dreams tonight." Then she turned off the lights and closed the door behind her. The starry sky was sparkling, warm and bright over Oscar's bed, and he snuggled comfortably into his soft pillows. Suddenly, a soft voice shouted out, "Wake up, Oscar! Wake up! We're leaving! We're ready to take off!" When Oscar leaned over the edge of the bed, all drowsy, he saw a small, luminous figure with wings no bigger than a shoe. He rubbed his eyes because he couldn't believe it and was probably already dreaming. But the little creature was still there, floating towards his pillow, throwing out tiny bright sparks that looked a little bit like little stars. "Who are you?" asked Oscar in disbelief. "Me," replied the enchanting creature. "I'm the Stardust Fairy. I've come to fly into space with you." "Into space?" asked Oscar in astonishment. "But I don't have a moon rocket or..." "Fiddlesticks," the little fairy interrupted him. "We don't need any. We'll just take your bed." And just as Oscar was about to ask another question, the Stardust Fairy, giggling, pulled out a mysterious jar of her little bag and began to spread a fine sugar-like glittering powder over Oscar's entire bed. In an instant, the bed began to float, and before Oscar knew it, the roof of the house opened above them. And they flew out and into the cold November night. The moon was shining brightly and the night was clear with stars, and below them the trees, the houses, and the lights got smaller and smaller until they disappeared completely. Oscar covered his face fearfully with his pillows, in which he had just been cuddled up all warm and cozy, and he just didn't dare to look around. The Stardust Fairy, however, sat on his shoulder and let the icy wind blow through her curly hair. She cheered and shouted incessantly, "Oh, how wonderful it is to rush through the night! Oscar, look around, it is fabulous!" And when Oscar hesitantly raised his head and dared to peek a little over the edge of the bed, he saw something so beautiful that he immediately forgot his fears and was only full of astonishment. Thousands, millions of stars were shining everywhere around them. Then the moon appeared big and white in front of them, and in the far distance you could see the earth resplendent in blue and green. He had never seen his world like this before. Oscar suddenly felt very small and understood a little what Dad always meant when he spoke of the infinity of the universe. "Where are we actually going?" he asked the fairy after he had found his voice again. "Well, to the moon," she replied. "They're waiting for you." And she pointed triumphantly at the mighty bright ball that was getting closer and closer. Who could be waiting for Oscar on the moon? He didn't know anyone there, but just as he was about to ask the next question, the little fairy was about to land their flying object. She started sprinkling a little stardust over the pillows again, and in no time all 4 legs of the bed had landed safely on the moon. Oscar was a little dizzy when he reluctantly put his right foot on the dusty ground. He had imagined everything to be icy and chilly, but although he was only wearing pajamas, he wasn't cold at all. The Stardust Fairy flew ahead, spraying her little sparks, and shouted, "Come on, Oscar, hurry up!" But Oscar made slow progress, as if heavy stones were tied around his feet, and so the little fairy reached into her bag again and sprinkled him from head to toe with stardust. Oscar began to float and cheered enthusiastically. "Yay, I'm floating over the moon!" It was a wonderful feeling to be weightless, and Oscar could now take a good look at the white, cratered landscape. After a while, the little fairy announced, "We have arrived." She took Oscar by the hand with rapt attention and pulled him towards the entrance of a dark cave. Oscar immediately knew that he had nothing to be afraid of because his friend was right there with him, radiating warmth and strength. After they had walked a few meters into the cave, a friendly light appeared in the distance and got brighter the further they went. Finally, they reached a large room with a cozy campfire in the center, around which several figures were sitting. Oscar stopped like glued to the spot and held his breath. The figures had long silver hair, white skin as bright as the moon itself, and round smiling faces. Some of them also had flowing silvery beards that shimmered in the light of the campfire. They turned towards them and gave the visitors a friendly smile. "Welcome, Oscar," said the eldest, and put out his hand with an inviting gesture. "We were expecting you." After Oscar got over his astonishment, he asked curiously, "Who are you? And how did you get here?" The old man roared with laughter. "We are the Moon Men. We have been living here for thousands of years." The eldest stroked his beard and continued. "We collect stardust and fill it in little bags and jars so that our fairies can visit the children at night when they are sound asleep, sprinkle the stardust all over their beds, and fulfill their biggest wishes." "Fulfill wishes with stardust?" Oscar asked, astounded, his eyes wide open. "But don't you get it, Oscar?" the little fairy exclaimed and fluttered excitedly in front of Oscar's face. "Just like I did with you." She sat down on his shoulder again. The eldest Moon Man continued. "It was your dearest wish to fly to the moon and the stars, wasn't it, Oscar?" He was probably right. Oscar had always dreamed of it, and it was so very wonderful and amazing that this wish had finally come true on his 5th birthday. While saying their goodbyes, the old man handed him a small bag and winked at Oscar. With this, You'll always remember this very day and never forget your dreams. I will see you again, Oscar. After that, everything went very quickly. Oscar floated weightlessly over the craters through the silver moonlit night, and soon he found himself all snuggled up in his blankets again. The Stardust Fairy steered the flying bed calmly and without turbulences past the twinkling stars and back to the earth. Oscar soon began to recognize the landscape and the surroundings. After a very short time, they were back at the parents' house, where the roof opened silently and Oscar's bed slid back into his room. But Oscar didn't even realize it anymore. He was already sleeping soundly, and the little Stardust Fairy, who had become his friend, tucked him in gently. "Sweet dreams, my friend," the Stardust Fairy whispered, and kissed him softly on his forehead. Soon the sparks of her flapping wings had disappeared in the night. When Oscar opened his eyes slowly in the next morning and looked around a little dozy, there was a wonderful smell of warm rolls of freshly squeezed orange juice all over the house. His mom came running up the stairs energetically and called out cheerfully, "Good morning, my little astronaut. What did you dream under your starry sky? Get up, breakfast is already waiting for you." And when Oscar crawled out of bed, still sleepy, a little bag suddenly fell on the floor, spilling a glittering powder. He smiled. So it wasn't just a dream after all. He would soon see his friends from the moon again. Hey storytelling friends, if you like this story, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and you will soon be hearing another story from Caro. Thanks so much for listening and take care.